The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill. A breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help. Just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
The human voice. It can be sweet as music, powerful as thunder,
and so, my fellow Americans,
cheerful as laughter. But for millions of people, it can also be a sign of COPD. This serious lung disease can make it so hard to breathe, you often can't catch a breath or finish a sentence, let alone carry a tune. And many who have COPD don't even know it. That's where your voice comes in. If you think you or a loved one have symptoms, talk with a healthcare provider. Early diagnosis can mean better treatments and quality of life. Join us in raising our voices for the millions with COPD who can't. Learn more, breathe better at NIH.gov.
As a mother, you don't want to have to worry about this bill is coming, but then she needs this chemo. That's a decision you shouldn't have to make.
It's a huge burden lifted financially, and so it allows you to give singular focus to your child. I've never known a hospital that takes care of their patients so thoroughly.
That was the first thing I was like, how are we going to do this? When they told us that we didn't have to pay a single bill, I was like, wow. They pretty much have saved us.
It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders, and now your focus is supporting this child.
There is not another hospital like St. Jude. The patient care is unmatchable. It saved my life. It saved my daughter's life. It saved our family.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Good morning to you, ecclesiastites and liberty lovers all across the globe. Good morning, it is I, your lovable host, El Rod, coming to you live this Wednesday, Hump Day, August number 30 in the year of our Lord 2017, as more and more kiddies head out the door to school starting today, public, private, and parochial. All over the country. A lot start today, and a lot more. The rest that haven't started will start by this time next week. Yes, this is it. The summer is done and over. The official, unofficial end of summer, as they like to say around certain parts. They're still looking for school bus drivers. If you need a job, look around your area. They're probably in need of school bus drivers. I know it's not a full-time gig, but at least it's something if you have the time. And I know if you're driving a school bus at this hour, you can't listen to me, but we'll have to sacrifice. Children come first. Their safety is paramount. So if you need a job, looking for a job, like to drive, love kids, try being a school bus driver. In many locales, they'll, at least up here in the Northeast, they will train you for free. You'll get you can use that license for other places too, bus driver's license. They're that desperate for drivers. 603-835-3226 is the call-in number this morning, should you wish to utilize it. We've got the Intel report coming up in the second hour. Did you see how they were all having fits with Melania's shoes as she was getting on board Air Force One to head to Texas yesterday? Really, that's all they had to complain about. Oh, look at her. She's wearing those 9-inch pumps. And then they had a fit. And then when she got off the plane, she changed her shoes. Now she's in sneakers running. What? Where's her pumps? How could she possibly do that? This phony, fake, blah, blah. Are you kidding? The woman can't get anything right, I guess, in the eyes of the... They're always going to make fun of her. No matter what. And the sad part about it is that they're showing their... Now, look... Even I have taken people to task on the right for calling Michelle Obama an ape. I didn't like it. Now, I'm no fan of Michelle Obama, but she doesn't look like an ape. And frankly, I'm going to be frank with you. I thought it was a racist comment every time somebody said that she looked like an ape. And I did. I called people out on it every time I heard it. It was unnecessary and uncalled for. And as a matter of fact, there are a lot of people on the right who took people to task who called Michelle Obama an ape. Now, if they wanted to call her a tranny, that was one thing. If they wanted to call her Michael and say that she was a transgendered woman or male, however they figure that out, that was one thing. I mean, I can understand why some people may have thought so, not because of the doctored pictures of her having a penis, but simply because she was a big woman. She was a little bit masculine, but there are a lot of women that look masculine. Janet Reno immediately comes to mind. And look, I didn't like Janet Reno either, but I didn't see anybody calling her an ape. And let's face it, Janet Reno was much uglier than Michelle Obama. If you wanted to put the two in a beauty contest, Michelle Obama would win hands down over Janet Reno, but nobody called Janet Reno an ape. So I took people to task, I don't care what side of the political aisle they were on, over calling Michelle Obama an ape. A lot of people on the right did. I wasn't the only one. But I don't see people on the left chastising people on the left for making silly remarks about Melania Trump's shoes or her English, her broken English. She is a foreigner. And after all, hey, you want Latinos to come to this country and not even be forced to learn English at all. Not to mention, I haven't seen many leftists out there on the left condemning, because I still see stuff that they make fun of little Barron. Oh, little autistic child Barron Trump. That's because Daddy's sperm was so old. That's why we know that old men have more of a chance of having autism. I mean, they're just pounding on this kid. What is he, all of 11? I don't see many leftists saying stop that. I saw a lot of rightists telling other people on the right to stop calling Michelle Obama an ape. Well, I didn't see a whole hell of a lot of people saying, telling people on the left to stop. So that's, the hubris of this stuff is just, it's just, the hypocritical nature of the left is so fascinating. It is a study. Leftism could be a study all unto itself in psychiatry. Anybody take Psychiatry 101, Psych 101 in college? In 201? Yeah, I took them. I took 101 and 201 in college. No, I didn't want to. It was actually a requisite. I didn't want to be a psychiatrist, but I guess they want you to. In my college, they wanted you to look into the minds of people, not the hearts of people, the minds of people, to be able to figure them out. In Sociology 101. That's it. Those are 3 wasted classes, by the way. I didn't need those classes. Unless I was going to be a sociologist or a psychoanalyst or a psychotherapist, I didn't need those 3 classes. What a waste of time and money. By the way, that's why it takes you 4 years to get a degree, because they claim they want you to have a well-rounded education, when it's all it's about is just getting your money. Because otherwise, if you just take things that were requisite, that made sense for your major, you wouldn't be in school 4 years. You'd probably be done in 2.5. You'd cut the college's income in half. They force you to have all that other stuff by saying it gives you a well-rounded education by filling out your schedule. So you have to. You got to have 80 credits. Well, how am I going to get 80 credits? Well, you got to take all these extra classes. And if you want to take more classes in your field of expertise, well, now you got to go for your master's degree. That's how they rope you in. They give you a taste of your chosen profession in course of study. But anyway, college is such a racket. It really is. And so many people buy into it. I listen to people all the time tell their kids, well, you got to go to college. You got to go to college. And now I wherever I hear it now, I intervene. I say, well, what do they want to do? They don't need to go to college for that. I mean, not every kid is meant to go to college. College is not for everyone. Why would you want to waste your money on a child that doesn't want to go to college and won't benefit from college? What if they want to do something that doesn't require college, like be a carpenter? You'd be surprised how many parents look down upon the service industry. And the service industry people, they're not stupid. They're smart enough to realize, you know what? You can make fun of me all you want, but I'm charging you $40 an hour to put in your water heater. Well, they do. I remember the water heater going in my place. You go to the store, you pick up the water heater for $600 or $700. Most people don't buy a water heater ahead of time. They buy the water heater when it breaks. You know what it costs then? Well, that $600 water heater at Home Depot now costs you $1,000, plus it's $1,200 in labor. So over $2,000 labor in less than an hour. In an hour, that plumber and his assistant has got your water heater changed. They can do at least 4 per day. You want to tell me that you're going to look down on that plumber? I mean, the guy just pulled in like 10 grand in one day. And he didn't go to college. I'm just saying, don't look down on, you never know. I mean, the person that you're looking down on is probably making bank. He's probably making twice as much as you are. You're the one writing him the check. And you're thinking, oh, my kid will never be a plumber. Your kid would be lucky to be a plumber. I'm telling you that right now. I mean, we have a shortage on them. We're running into a shortage on people who can actually make things, build things, repair things. You know, going to a trade school costs a hell of a lot less than going to college. And let me tell you, these people, you think an auto mechanic is stupid today? You open up the hood of your vehicle and see if you can figure it out. And you're the one with the college degree. That's why they charge you $40, $30, $40, $50 an hour to repair your car. While you can't even change the freaking oil. Yet you're going to look down on the mechanic? As they say, oh, honey child, guarantee he's pulling home and bringing home more than you are. He may be blue collar, but that blue collar don't mean poor. I mean, I see people going to work, white collar jobs. They get up at, they're up at 7 a.m. on the highway, spend another hour on the highway, hour and a half to commute to work to a job they don't like, sit behind a desk for 8 hours from 8:30 to 5:30 or 8:30 to 5. They only get a half hour at lunch. They're upset. They're miserable because then they got to spend another hour and a half on the roadways going back home, and all they're bringing home is $36,000 a year. Meanwhile, the plumber that just came to their house to replace their water heater is pulling in nearly 6 figures. And he didn't go to college because you're sitting behind the wheel every freaking morning, thinking, well, geez, I got to keep doing this because I've got a 4-year college degree and I've got $80,000 in college loans to pay off. The plumber got an apprenticeship, became a plumber's apprentice, studied plumbing for 2 to 4 years, came out as a master plumber, and now he's making nearly 6 figures, and he has no debt. Now who's the idiot? I'm just saying, folks. Don't look down on your plumber. Don't look down on your non-college educated person because they're probably making more money than you are. Don't be hypocritical. The left is big with this, by the way. They will. They sit up in their ivory towers. Oh, they will get mad as hell. They will point out every single time the right does something that might be a little bit hypocritical, like calling Michelle Obama an ape. But as soon as they get the chance, instead of showing that they're above the fray, they will get down in that muck and they will churn up the muck even more than anybody on the right ever thought about doing. They will look down their long beak nose at anybody and everybody that they don't consider their equal. Oh, you only have a associate's degree? You're not equal to me. Oh, now the big thing isn't having a bachelor's. The big thing is having at least a master's degree. You only have a bachelor's degree? You're beneath me. I don't need to talk to you. Oh, and it also depends on the kind of degree that you have. If you have the wrong kind of degree, they're going to look down their nose at you because you're not erudite enough to have a good, solid degree. And the good, solid degrees that they want you to get are useless and worthless because nobody would hire you because it's a useless, worthless degree. But yet and still, you went to an Ivy League school and spent 6 figures, $100,000, $200,000 on that master's degree. And you studied world, historical, underwater, watercolor art. You have a master's degree in it. And you go looking for a job and you say, I have a master's degree. And everybody around, every employer says, well, what good is that going to do me? You don't know how to run my business. If I ever have a need for buying historical underwater watercolor art, I will give you a call. But until then, I can't use you. Hey, but you know what? I could use somebody to fix my car. You see that BMW over there? It's broken. Can you fix it? No, I don't even know what an engine looks like. Well, I guess I can't use you in that regards then either. You're listening to me, your lovable host, Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
We've all heard of male enhancement. But now, there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
And now a message from our sponsor. Ladies, tired of drying your hair with the same old vacuum cleaner? Try Avon Shade brand new Beauty Locks portable hair dryer. It's smaller, it's faster, it's guaranteed to give you the hair you've always wanted in half the time. Beauty Locks is delicate and dainty, just like you. The dryer weighs only a pound and easily fits in your hand. Now that's beauty and convenience. With a speedy motor that will dry your hair in as little as 25 minutes, you can get gorgeous hair without falling behind schedule. Don't worry about the little ones or that pie in the oven. Thanks to an extra-long extension cord, you can move around while primping your locks. Forget those long trips to the salon and no more waiting for hours under monster machines. Avon Shea gives you an easy and speedy hairdo that will blow your man away. Get it now at your nearest Macy's.
You're listening to The Rod Eccles Show. Let truth be told.
Three 835-3226. You know, if you don't have people who are willing to get down into the sewers, and if you don't have people that are willing to fix the machines that break down, including robots, by the way, and if you don't have people that are willing to build new things, then your society is going to collapse. How do you who are you going to get to build your house if nobody wants to build houses? Nobody wants to be a carpenter anymore. Where are you going to live? Yeah, I mean, stop and think about that. Well, there's always going to be people. No, there isn't always going to be people to do that. Not if we start training it out of people. I mean, just think about that for a second. If everybody goes to college, and who's going to be the you know, we're gonna have a overabundance of dentists and lawyers, and well, we got that now. We got too many lawyers now, actually. Think about that for a second. Holidays. Today's holidays. The holiday of the day. Today for August 30th, you have Frankenstein Day. Now, Frankenstein Day today is a day that takes place every year on Mary Shelley's birthday, the author of Frankenstein. Now, why don't we just celebrate Mary Shelley instead of her creation, her novel, Frankenstein? But today is Frankenstein Day, where we celebrate the day of her birth. Not the creation of her story of Frankenstein, but her birthday is today. Today is also International Day of the Disappeared. Today we observe and put a little bit extra effort looking for people who've disappeared over the years. Every single year on this day, we observe International Day of the Disappeared. Now, there are a lot of people that disappear a lot easier in some countries than others. In this country, for you to disappear, either it's a criminal act or it's a disaster, natural disaster, or in some cases, people make themselves disappear because they want to. They just get tired of life, whatever they're doing, and they disappear. But in other countries, the government disappears you. So today is International Day of the Disappeared. Today is also National Beach Day. National Beach Day was created to celebrate the beach and to encourage the cleaning up of all of our beaches, both ocean and lake beaches. So, I can get into that. It's not warm enough for the beach today, especially here in northern New England, because, the water's too damn cold. So the air's got to be hot, got to be steaming hot in order for people to go to the beach. But anyway, today is National Beach Day. So if you're out at the beach, pick up some trash. You should do that anyway. Today is also National Grief Awareness Day. For people who have suffered a loss of some kind, not a real loss, a human loss. This is National Grief Awareness Day. Pay attention. People grieve in their own ways, but today, I guess, is the day that people really pay attention to grief and what they're feeling. It's also Willing to Lend a Hand Wednesday. Now, Willing to Lend a Hand Wednesday is observed the last Wednesday of August, not on a specific date, but on a specific day. And it's kind of ironic that we have Willing to Lend a Hand Wednesday with what we've got going on down there in Texas. It's also National Holistic Pet Day. Treat your pet to natural vitamins. It's National Toasted Marshmallow Day. And it's International Slinky Day. Yeah, so if you got a Slinky, get out the Slinky, but first toast those marshmallows because you could go camping, but your kid might be back in school instead, so you got to wait for the weekend to go camping. But if you're going to go camping, make sure that you take your pet to a holistic vet so they can get their natural flea shot before they go out into the woods. Just saying.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We've got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov, because fire is everyone's fight.
Have you mixed your pain meds, your sleep meds, your allergy meds? Call the Poison Helpline. Has your child eaten a tube of toothpaste, a chip of paint, a wild mushroom? Call the Poison Helpline. Have you been bitten by a spider, a snake, an insect? Call the Poison Helpline. Poisonings can happen at the home, on the job, or in the great outdoors. Call the Poison Helpline first for fast, free advice from medical professionals. Call 1-800-222-1222 anytime, anywhere. 1-800-222-1222. Save the number, save a life. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Hi, I'm Hillary Duff. As a mom, I'm proud to support the March of Dimes in helping more women have full-term pregnancies and healthy babies. That's why I walk in March for Babies. The money we raise funds research and local programs that help babies overcome the challenges of premature birth and birth defects. Sign up today at marchforbabies.org. Together, we can help make healthier babies possible for thousands of families.
It's pretty amazing when you consider that 7 years ago, we didn't have the treatments we have now. We cure 80% of children with cancer. Go back 50 years, we were curing 20 to 30%. This is the miracle story of modern medicine. We understand what makes this cancer tick. And of course, without donors from around the world, this just couldn't happen. There's one thing we're focused on, and that's beating this thing.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
America's wounded warriors are coming home. After serving on foreign shores, these brave men and women are returning to their families and communities. Many have wounds you can see, and many have wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Now that these warriors are back home, they are ready to enter the civilian workforce. To help, Wounded Warrior Project has developed the Warriors to Work program, a career counseling service that helps warriors translate their military experience to the civilian workplace. These extraordinary men and women bring proven world-class job skills and a unique perspective on teamwork to the job. And to ensure the right warrior finds the right job, Wounded Warrior Project works with employers to find just the right match. When you hire a wounded warrior, you hire an intelligent, talented, and committed new employee. Contact Wounded Warrior Project at findwwp.org. Welcome home the brave.
(603-835-3226). One of the ironic thing, one of the most ironic things I have ever come across. Look, I understand there's a lot of ironic things when it comes to politics and current events, but this. I don't think that the left fully understands and fully grasps irony. You know, as they would say in a Bugs Bunny cartoon, irony. But here you have out west. I mean, we have a flood going on, a major flood that is the equivalent of a Katrina disaster. Hurricane Katrina, New Orleans disaster down in the Houston, Texas area. But that's okay because, it's mostly white people down in Houston, Texas, and it's mostly, right-wingers down in Texas. That doesn't make it so bad then. Only a bunch of right-wingers are drowning, possibly. Houston is one of the probably the two major liberal city enclaves in the state of Texas. The only reason why Texas is still a conservative state is because those Austin and Houston do not have the population necessary in such a large and populous state to take it over like other states. I mean, look, for instance, Illinois. I mean, the rest of Illinois could be completely and totally conservative, but Chicago will there's enough people in Chicago just to basically outnumber just about everybody else in the state. So whatever goes in Chicago goes. I mean, it's just like California. You get San Francisco, LA, and San Diego that team up together to be liberal, and the whole state's going to be liberal. It's just the way it goes. But it doesn't work that way in Texas because Texas is too big and too populated with other still highly conservative enclaves. But Houston is one of the liberal enclaves, one of the few liberal enclaves in Texas. They have a liberal mayor. So it's highly possible that, liberal white people are drowning in Texas. Now, I'm not making light of this. This is factual here, folks. So the irony is that instead of openly seeing black people floating face down in mucky, murky water like happened in New Orleans in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, with a liberal black mayor at the helm, I might add. So in light of that, we have another liberal mayor out on the left coast, talking about a near Ivy League school. Now, Berkeley is a near Ivy League. It's not exactly an Ivy Leaguer, but because it's a public school, but it's a near Ivy Leaguer. It's one of the top public institutions in the country. So Berkeley mayor says that if the school doesn't shut down right-wing speakers, Antifa will riot. Now, the irony is Antifa will riot. So you're not going to have they got this thing going on out there called Free Speech Month. And if somebody doesn't shut down the right-wingers during Free Speech Month, then the left-wingers are going to riot. Well, then that's not free speech. What are they so worried about from the right-wingers in Berkeley of all? I mean, you might as well let them speak. If everybody's that liberal out there in Berkeley, you might as well let the right-winger speak, because all they're going to do is have an audience of maybe 10. That's all they're going to get. Nobody's going to be there to listen to them, right? I mean, this is the most ironic thing one of the most ironic things I've ever seen in politics or current events. You've got a mayor talking about, well, we're going to need to cancel Free Speech Month. There is no such thing, by the way, because every day and every month is free speech in this country. And simply because if we have people that we don't agree with start speaking, then the rest of us over here are going to start rioting and causing damage and possibly injuring and killing people. While down in Texas, there's another liberal mayor that has caused more human tragedy than should have happened. Yes, I'm blaming the mayor of the city of Houston for not getting more people out before the storm hit. Because what did he say? No, y'all can stay put. Just like Ray Nagin did in New Orleans. The human toll is higher than it should have been and needed to be. Now, granted, you're not going to prevent every bit of human tragedy, because people are people. Some people will listen and some people won't. But seeing how so many people listened to the mayor in the first place, and they're all wondering. And I got a story here about a black woman taken on CNN. She's looking at the camera saying, "My children are shivering. I'm cold, and you shoving a microphone in my face." I said, "You go, girl." She shut down. Because, what did the stupid left media, how do you feel? My kids are shivering. We all soaked. I'm cold. And you shoving a microphone in my face. We lost everything in the flood. How do you think I'm feeling? Just, they do this kind of thing. That's a sign of poor reporter when they ask, well, how do you feel? And that's a dumbass question. I wouldn't respond. I'd take the microphone. If somebody asked me that question in light of tragedy, well, how does this make you feel? I take the microphone out of their damn hands and smack them upside the head with it. I'd say get another job because you suck being a reporter. How do you think that makes anybody feel? Love it when people, just a side note here. Love it when people find out that a loved one has died. It's a famous crime that just took place, and they find out a loved one. What are you feeling right now? What do you feel? Get that damn microphone out of my face before I smack you with it. I'll shove it up your frigging ass. That'll tell you how I'm feeling. That's a sign of a very poor, very bad, untalented reporter. When that's when they have that. A good reporter does not have that in their arsenal. They just don't. They don't have that in their arsenal of questions. It never comes up. They don't ask how people are feeling in situations like that. They just don't. Because you don't ask an obvious question. Well, you never know the question is obvious until you actually ask it and they answer it. No, there are certain questions that are obvious. You're not in a court of law. You don't need to hear the answer. Especially if you're a witness and the lawyer says, well, how'd that make you feel? That may have some relevance to the case. But as a reporter getting the news out, that's irrelevant. Everybody knows how you feel. If you ask the proper questions, you're going to find out if they're actually sad or not, if they're really sad or not, or angry or mad or irate or whatever the feeling that they are currently having. That'll come out in the proper questioning. You just don't shove a microphone in somebody's face. Well, how you feeling? While they're shivering and cold and their kids are soaking wet. Oh yeah, that's a great question to ask. You're doing your job. But back on track here, we have, so you have this mayor, Berkeley mayor. He's out there making excuses for the violent fascist, anti-fascists. He's making excuses for them. And he's the mayor of Berkeley. This is extortion. Basically, from the basics of legal precedent, the guy is actually advocating extortion. Berkeley, if you allow conservatives to speak, then the left, the liberal, is going to riot. So in other words, what he's saying, if you want peace and quiet, you can't have these kinds of people speaking. That's the equivalent of extortion. I mean, think about this. The mayor, the guy in charge, the one who's supposed to be in charge of keeping the peace in his city. I mean, he is actually capitulating to the demands of Antifa, but he's encouraging he's not the only one capitulating, but not only is he capitulating to the demands of this violent fascist, anti-fascist group of leftists, but he's encouraging in all but demanding that the university capitulate as well. I mean, this is the mayor. Now, basically, really, much like the governor of the state and the president of the United States, the mayor is usually the chief, is usually the chief law enforcement officer within a community that he's the mayor of. I mean, he's the executive. He's the chief executive of the city or the town that he's the mayor of. In most communities that have a mayor, that's, I realize in some communities, mayor is nothing but a titular figurehead. But in most communities that have a mayor, the mayor is the chief executive officer of that city or town in which they are a mayor. So you have the chief executive of Berkeley basically threatening the rest of the city and the university. And if you don't shut down free speech, we're going to riot. That's extortion. Plain and simple. I don't know else how to put it for you. These people have lost their freaking collective minds, I tell you. But that's happening out in Berkeley. And by the way, even Laura Ingraham is jumping on the bandwagon. It's time to think about designating Antifa as a terrorist organization. I wholeheartedly agree. I've already said it. Antifa is a terrorist. They're using terrorist tactics. They're using terrorist dress. And look, they even go out to a demonstration to protest when there's nobody else protesting on the other side of the political aisle from them, and they commit violence. That's not protesting. They're violent thugs, and therefore need to be addressed and need to be treated as a terrorist organization. They really do. And it's not because I disagree with their politics. I mean, look, if they want to have a legitimate debate, I don't have a problem. If they want to peacefully demonstrate, I don't have a problem. If they want to peacefully have a gathering in a public gathering, I have no problem with that. But as soon as they start chasing down people who they disagree with, or they start beating on them, or they start destroying public and private property simply because they want to, then they're no longer peacefully demonstrating. And this whole notion of freedom of speech comes to an end for them, because that's not freedom of speech. You don't have the freedom to destroy, beat, and maim. Hey, that's not what the freedom of speech is. That's not what freedom of expression is. You don't have a right to physically harm somebody else or their property. Now, if you wanna beat up your own property, go right ahead. But you don't have a right to tear up somebody else's property, and you don't have a right to beat on somebody. Simply just because they're expressing their free speech rights and you just simply disagree with them. Terrorists do that. So it is time that these people be called to the mat and be called what they really are. And that is domestic terrorists. I find it interesting that they're willing to call, people on the right domestic terrorists, but they're the ones that are actually committing the violence and destruction, and nobody wants to call them. Why? Because if you label them terrorists, well, they're liable to riot.
Hello, America. It's me, your history. I remember a time when we thumbed our nose in a king's face, sent him packing. And when fascists and emperors talked a little bit too loud, we showed up, tore their cities to the ground, and then rebuilt them just to prove we could. We put men on the moon, we won a Cold War, and we elected fearless leaders who led fearless people. What the hell happened to you, America? Back in my day, we didn't elect a big-eared community organizer. We punched him in the kidney. Maybe it's time you came home, America. Home where you belong.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
This is Free America broadcasting on the Rod Eccles Show with a message to all patriots trapped behind the lines in California, New York, Boston, and Chicago. Don't give up, true lovers of America. Even as we speak, moves are being made to drive the invaders back to the land from which they came, defeat the would-be dictators, and lift the chains of tyranny from around your neck. Stay strong. Stay brave. You're not forgotten, and you're not alone. Until next time, patriots, this is Free America signing out.
Call Rod now, 603-835-3226. Lines are open.
You know, the funny thing about what's going down in Texas is, well, it's not funny. It's not funny, haha. But it is funny because it is what was expected from the left. Is that the left is blaming, I told you they were going to do this. They're basically blaming the president for this. And they're blaming the GOP and all of us on the right for this because we're denying global warming. Yes, this is hurricanes only happen due to man-made climate change. It's man's fault. It's, hurricanes have this powerful have never happened pre-industrial revolution, right? They never happened. There was never flooding on this magnitude pre-industrial revolution. This is man's fault. Well, yeah. Actually, they're not completely wrong about that. It is partly man's fault. And you're probably thinking, what? What are you talking about, Rod? Well, Mother Nature didn't build the cities. We did. Man did. So we concentrated, improved property and people into a small area. So we put a lot of people there. What is it? 3-4 million people in Houston? I don't know how many people are in Houston. How many people are in Houston? Let's just say 3 million. So you got 3 million people in Houston. Well, 200 years ago, there weren't 3 million people in Houston. I don't even think, 200 years ago, there wasn't even, I don't even think Houston was founded yet. So there was nobody there. So all the flooding and hurricanes that happened 200 years ago didn't create a lot of devastation because there was nobody there. So our modern day society put 3 million people in the path of a hurricane. That part is man's fault. Because, man's got to live somewhere. So they chose to live in Houston. The weather pattern is not our fault. Had nothing to do with it. Because hurricanes hit Houston before there was a Houston. Hurricanes hit Houston while there is a Houston. And hurricanes will continue to hit there even if there no longer is a Houston there. So I don't know how that's going to be man's fault. And particularly, I don't know how that is the fault of the GOP, Donald Trump, and everybody on the right who doesn't believe in this man-made global warming, man-made climate change crap. So here's a story that you have members of the media who apparently moonlight as climate scientists have already politicized Hurricane Harvey, insisting the storm proves the validity of a global warming theory and mocking Republicans who disagree with it. It doesn't prove a damn thing. It just proves that Mother Nature will be Mother Nature no matter what. Now, of course, none of them said during the nearly 12-year hiatus of hurricanes hitting the mainland USA as being part of global warming. Oh, no, that's just a natural pattern of things. That happens every once in a while. We go through a long drought of not having her. I realize that hitting Texas and Houston area for a hurricane is highly unusual. But this is, hurricanes can happen just about, even all the way up here in New England. We've had hurricanes in New England before. And obviously, when those hurricanes took place, it could not have been because of man-made global climate change. Now, if we have a hurricane in New England today, it is going to be the fault of man-made global climate change. Regardless of the history of hurricanes in New England. We've had we've had tornadoes in New England. But if we have one today, it is somehow going to be the fault of man-made climate change. It's just, it's ridiculous that these people do this kind of stuff or say this kind of stuff. But they're already out there politicizing this, trying to make it the fault of Donald Trump because, hey, he doesn't believe in this. Well, he pulled us out of the Paris Accord. Remember that they had the Paris Agreement thing simply because of pulling out of the Paris Agreement. And the Paris Agreement, everybody knows, wasn't going to do a damn thing to try to clean up the planet or stop, man-made global climate change or change weather patterns. But because the president pulled us out of the Paris Climate Agreement, we were definitely going to get storms like Harvey now. So it's Trump's fault. Absolutely. Harvey is Trump's fault. You can't make this stuff up.
Have you ever thought to yourself, I'm a leftist elite Hollywood a-hole? If so, good news. The Rod Eccles Hollywood Community College is now open, featuring such courses as unemployment is not paid vacation. No, Americans don't want to spend $19 for an order of French fries, and the ever popular shut the hell up. Why, just listen to this big-time celebrity endorsement.
I'm not Rosie O'Donnell, and I think this school's offensive, sexist, and racist.
And I think you're a giant a-hole who needs to shut the hell up. Hey, we teach a course in that. The Rod Eccles Hollywood Community College, where being an a-hole is not a guarantee you'll be an A student.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We've got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and always stay in the kitchen when cooking at high temperatures. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov, because fire is everyone's fight.
And now, a message from the American Migraine Foundation.
It's an absolute nightmare. I was terrified. It was like your head's gonna explode.
Migraine is a disabling disease.
Just all of a sudden couldn't see.
Migraine has ruined my life.
Absolutely terrifying.
There's pain that does not stop.
It's a throbbing, pulsing, banging, hammering feeling in your head.
36 million Americans suffer.
I started getting migraines around 5 years old.
Just takes over everything.
I feel trapped by migraine.
It hurts like my head's gonna fall off.
And the whole world around you stops.
My world has gotten small.
You feel like the world's closing in on you. There's nothing you can do.
I had spent a year housebound. It's like you're trapped in your head. There's no escaping it. You can't leave your body.
Don't suffer alone. Make your move against migraine. Visit AmericanMigraineFoundation.org to find help, learn more, and get connected.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The human voice. It can be sweet as music, powerful as thunder,
And so, my fellow Americans,
cheerful as laughter. But for millions of people, it can also be a sign of COPD. This serious lung disease can make it so hard to breathe, you often can't catch a breath or finish a sentence, let alone carry a tune. And many who have COPD don't even know it. That's where your voice comes in. If you think you or a loved one have symptoms, talk with a healthcare provider. Early diagnosis can mean better treatments and quality of life. Join us in raising our voices for the millions with COPD who can't. Learn more, breathe better at NIH.gov.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness.
Get some rear security.
From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Welcome back as we begin hour number 2 here on the Rod Eccles Show. Thank you for being here, all of you ecclesiastites and liberty lovers all across the globe. Even those of you out there in Berkeley, California, you can stand up to your stupid mayor and tell him that you have a right to speak, and it's not your fault if you're a conservative or a moderate and Antifa decides to wig out and go off because of what you say. I knew words were powerful. I didn't realize that they could actually move people to such. I mean, these are people that sit on the couch and playing video games in their parents' basements. And you're telling me that just a few words from like people like Laura Ingraham can get them to get up and organize and do something like that, like their entire downtown or college? I mean, that's powerful. I didn't realize words were that powerful. They can even motivate, the pot. I had somebody ask me that the other day. Hey Rod, I smoke pot. Does that make me lazy? So you want to know the truth? Yeah, it does actually. Not gonna lie. Well, look, you ask me a question point blank like that. Do you expect me? People who know me know better. If they don't, they should, and they're gonna get a quick lesson. I'm not gonna lie to you. You're gonna ask me a point blank question like that. I'm gonna give you a point blank answer, and you're probably not gonna like it. Well, I'm just a blunt kind of guy, I guess. I don't know. I mean, people who work with me and know me, and we go out and play together, whether we're bowling or camping or fishing or hiking or just, drinking wine together. I mean, they ask me a point-blank question like that. I'm always honest with them. I don't beat around the bush. Some people say that makes me an asshole. Okay. If telling the truth makes me an asshole, then I guess I'm a big one. Well, you ask. If you don't, there's, I remember my grandfather once saying this. And a lot of people's grandfathers have said this too. But if you don't want to know the absolute truth, don't ask the question. Plain and simple. That's the way it all works. But I don't. Well, I don't know. Anyway, we got. It is time now for the Intel Report. Yes, indeed, we bring on Agent 0010 as he comes to the bunkerized studio from some undisclosed location around the globe to deliver his important report. Good morning, Agent. How are you this morning?
I'm doing good. How are you, Rod?
I am blessed and highly favored, even if I am an asshole to some people because I tell them the truth.
Well, Welcome to my world, huh? I've been there since all my life.
I know. Why would you ask it? Let me just. Why would you ask a question if you did not want to know the absolute truth of it?
Okay. I asked myself that question a long time ago. But I put it a little different. The question I stated was, if you're not going to like the answer, why the hell are you asking the question? Don't ask me if you don't want to hear it. If you don't want to hear the truth, just don't ask. And then I came to a conclusion. Human beings have a tendency of thinking that you're always going to agree with them, that you're always going to be on their side, that they feel that they're doing the right thing and they're doing the good thing. So therefore, other people are going to see that and they're going to agree with you. But when you tell them the truth, they're going to get highly upset. They're not upset at you, they're upset at the truth. But it's going to lash out at you because you're the one that's delivering the truth. And like they say, the truth hurts. But then I came up to another conclusion, and it's a much simpler answer. And of course, using Occam's razor. All things considered, the simplest answer is usually the right one. And that is that in general, not all, but in general, people are stupid.
Well, okay, I asked a question, got an honest answer back. There you go, folks. I'm not going to argue with that because he's right. Well, it's the old adage, common sense is not very common, which is why it's special. Because it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be common, but it's not. That's why they call it common sense, but it's not very common. What do we have going on in the world of the spy world? What is happening today that we should know about?
Well, what I've been doing is I've been doing an analysis for the past couple of weeks. And like I said, the simplest answer is usually the right one. And we all know that ISIS has been going around and they've been taking children. Now, the Yazidis are a perfect example of what's happening to them. The Yazidis turn around and they have been suffering and they have been targeted, not just by ISIS, but by other organizations, other groups, because of what they believe in. Now, ISIS has taken female children and male children alike. They take the female children, usually from the age of maybe 8 or 9 years old and up, and sell them into sex slavery. Then they take the boys, and the Yazidis aren't what you might call your typical Middle Eastern person. They're not like Saudi. They don't have the dark hair. Not all of them have the dark hair. Not all of them have the dark eyes. Many of them, blonde hair, green eyes, blonde hair, blue eyes, brown hair, green eyes. I mean, complete mixtures. But still, they're Yazidi. They look more Western than they would what you might call, like, let's say, Saudi Arabian. Now, these children, like I said, the females from the age of 8 or 9 years old on up are sold into sex slavery. The boys, on the other hand, a vast majority that are taken away someplace else. Now, we have all seen the video footage and the pictures of children being trained by ISIS to conduct certain targeted activities. Hell, they even showed children executing prisoners, a shot to the head. We've seen this. And the thing is that the ground forces have yet to encounter these children in any battle. They have yet to confront them. Here's the analysis I've come up with. You know what? I forgot to mention one thing. We even have parents, British-born parents, blonde hair, French-born parents, just do not look Middle Eastern. They are very European, have joined ISIS. Mothers have left their home country with their child in tow to join ISIS. I don't know if they're what they're looking for, but their child have been also placed into these groups. Now, we have yet to confront these children on the battlefield. And here's my honest analysis and my honest opinion. These children are going to be the future cells, the future operatives. Now, even though we may turn around and beat ISIS on the battlefield, and we may destroy their headquarters and possibly, hopefully, even assassinate their leaders or their leadership, they still have places to go run to. If they can strike up the proper deal, they can hide in Iran. All they have to do is strike the proper deal with the Iranians. They can go to Libya, because we all know that's turned into a crap hole now. thank you to the Obama administration with a great deal of help from Hillary Rodham Clinton. They can go to Yemen. That's still run. That country is still dealing with the toppling of their government by terrorist forces. They can go to Mali. Mali's in Africa, in Central Africa. Now, Mali has their own terrorist dealings. They have to deal with the Akim, the Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, which also have an alliance with, guess who? ISIS. So they can go there. They can go to Somalia. We all know that is insane there. But using the old adage, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, if they can strike up the right deal, they may be even able to hide in, of all places, North Korea. Because I said, the old adage, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Now, these children can then, as they grow up, continue to be trained. They can be taught how to speak different languages, such as French, such as English. By speaking French and English, you have just been able for these children to operate in 2/3 of the planet by just speaking those two languages. Or, if you want, a select few, Spanish, Portuguese, and Italian. 3 languages that are very similar because of their Latin foundation. So you could also train them to speak those languages. Now, by doing that, you just covered all of Central America, South America with the Spanish and the Portuguese, and the Italian. Well, you have the entire Italian peninsula. But these children can then be placed, they can be sent home and say, I escaped ISIS after all these years. And the entire time, planning to conduct terrorist activities, planning to create cells within these countries. They can be because of the extent of their training and the years of their training, they can become very, very good operatives. They can be assassins. We've seen the video footage of them actually doing door-kicking operations and taking out targets. And in some cases, they actually use live prisoners as the target. Now, this is for generations to come. Because mind you, these children are taken from like the age of infancy to about 9, 10, 11. I think their cutoff is 14. That's when they consider them to be a man, and they assassinate them. Because if you're a man and you're not a Sunni Muslim, then you're worthless. You are to die. End of story. So that is the reasoning why I'm firmly believing that ISIS is going to be a threat for generations to come.
Well,
we are not good.
We have encountered this. The West has two Western nations have encountered this trained child soldier. That's the French and the Americans when it came to South Vietnam. The North Vietnamese were rather. I mean, you had Vietnam vets returning and being called baby killers because they had to kill kids who were pointing at them with guns to kill them. So this is something that we faced before, but nobody wanted to believe. So this is being repeated now. And
see, in South Vietnam, and you know what? Let's go even further west, Cambodia. Okay, they were used as soldiers. The Khmer Rouge, the North Vietnamese or the NVA, Boko Haram, other guerrilla units in North Africa or in all of Africa. They used them as child soldiers. These children are being groomed. It is my firm belief that these children are being groomed to be assassins, to be disruptors, to eliminate targets. This is going to be a complete and totally different use of these poor children. If we don't get to those children now, if we don't get to them now, within the next 2 or 3 years, it's too late. They will just have to die. Because if not, what they can do will be devastating to countries all over this planet. And it may sound harsh what I just said, but notice I said 2 or 3 years from now, if they're not found and deprogrammed, because they are being brainwashed. So that means that they could be the ages of 15, 16 years old. But the training will continue until ISIS feels that they're ready to send them into the world and do what they have to do. Because ISIS does have places that they can go to. Hell, even the farthest region of northwestern Pakistan, they can hide up in those mountains. And they can train these children for years to come. So a good portion of these children are Yazidis. The same ones that the Kurdish forces said, oh, look, we even brought our families. You'll be safe. And it's absolutely true. The Kurdish forces did bring like their wife and their children. And they showed it off to the Yazidis. Said, look, you're safe, you're safe. And once the Yazidis were like, okay, we're going to be safe, they wouldn't bring their family if it wasn't going to be safe. That same night, the Kurdish forces sent their families back home. A couple of days later, the Kurdish forces left, leaving the Yazidis to the mercy of ISIS. And mind you, ISIS has no mercy. So these children, for the most part, are Yazidis.
And we have to realize that. But anybody remember the Life? This is some time ago now. What maybe 20 years ago? The Life magazine cover of the girl with the green eyes.
Yes.
And then they went back and they found her again. Now, she aged an awful lot in a very short period of time, but it was the same girl, same green eyes as a woman. So I mean, to have the and we've seen some of these kids on video now. I mean, we had recently what appeared to be probably an 11 or 12-year-old American boy. Everybody's assuming he's American because he didn't speak with an accent in his English, which doesn't really mean anything. Because we know that even during World War II, you had German-born, German-raised soldiers that spoke perfect English with no German accent when they were speaking English. And we see this every freaking day in our movies and TV shows when everybody realizes, oh, wait, that actor is British? He doesn't have a British accent when he's speaking English. Well, because he can be trained out of you. So, and if they don't particularly look what we think that they should look like. That's the other big thing that leftists always try to tell us with is that, you know, certain people look a certain way no matter what. And that's not true. There are many different variations with just about, I mean, there are redheaded Asians. They're rare, but there are redheaded Asians, but nobody ever thinks about having a redheaded Asian. That's not possible, right? In most liberals' eyes. But it is. It's a real thing. So if you can have these kids who are really Middle Eastern, but they don't look it, and you're right, they're perfect to be put up as front men.
Like I said, the ground forces have yet to confront these children on the battlefield. They have yet to confront them, but we know they exist. We know they're out there. We have seen the video footage. We have seen the pictures. We've seen them in training. We've seen them do the door-kicking exercises when they storm a building, and they do it with such perfect precision. It's not even funny. I thought I was looking at a bunch of short soldiers. Well, they're not. They're children. We have yet to confront them. The Cambodian military faced off against the Khmer Rouge, and they faced these children in the battlefield. In North Vietnam, the French and then the Americans, they faced these children in the battlefield. The African nations that are fighting against these rebel forces, they face these children in the battlefield. You know what? Let's even go on to this side of the hemisphere. In South America, government forces have faced up against the FARC and confronted these children in the jungles of Central and South America. So those children are soldiers. We don't know where these children are that ISIS has. They haven't been confronted in the battlefield, but we know they're out there. So if we go through process of elimination, they're out there. We haven't confronted them. They must be in hiding. And if they're in hiding, why are they hiding them? What is their purpose? The answer is future attacks. These children are going to be dangerous for the next 2 to 3 generations. They're that young. And don't forget, those that do survive any of their attacks will pass this knowledge on, and they will brainwash others as well. This is my firm belief my analysis. I will stick by it 100%. And if anybody has any doubts as to what I'm saying, all I can say is any of the information that I just gave you, look it up. You can find it for yourself. And if you don't find it, I'll tell you where to find it.
Well, the sleeper cell phenomenon is alive and well, obviously, and all over the world, and we know that these people can wake up at any, basically wake up at any moment that they're called to wake up, and they can be pretty devastating. And this is, sometimes what we'll hear people talk about, like the Pulse nightclub thing. There are people now that firmly believe that he was a sleeper and that they woke him up one day, and that's why he did what he did when he did it, because he was trained, brainwashed, and put to sleep, and then they woke him up, and there you go. I believe it. It's highly possible. And this is the same thing with these children.
Well, that guy, there's a lot of theories about that guy, and I just firmly believe that he's just somebody that took the Quran, took the teachings of Islam way too serious. I mean, he targeted gay people for a reason. To me, you targeted gay people is because you have this firm belief that that gay people are bad, blah, 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 blah. The stupid stuff, idiotic thinking, just homophobia. But these kids could be used. I mean, the way they were training these kids from the video footage, it's like they were storming specific targets. They were engaging specific targets. A building.
I think we have run into these children already, but we don't realize that we did so. And that was with the Boston bombers, the Tsarnaev brothers. They were brought here from Georgia with their mother when they were children. They basically grew up in the USA, and look what they did. Well, we're up against the clock here. Do you have more to tell us? Can you stay around for a little while?
Yeah, I can hang around.
All right, folks, we'll be back we'll continue with Agent 0010 in just a moment.
You're listening to the Rod Eccles Show, the coolest, most politically incorrect, conservative black man on the planet.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
Sometimes, we here in the West especially, and, it's not just the West, but we have this ideal of what childhood is supposed to be like. And we have to remember that modern childhood is new and unique. Kids were expected a long time, not too long ago, to be, basically adults and contributors to the family by the time they were 10 or 12. That's why a lot of cultures have adulthood at 13 and 14 years of age, because it was expected. Well, we got more to talk about, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Dad, we need to talk.
Can we just enjoy the drive?
If you're not going to listen to me, who will we listen to?
Jeffrey. Marcia Gay Harden, what?
Eyes on the road, Dad.
What are you doing? What are you doing in my back seat? How did you get in here?
You're getting older.
Not that old.
Your brain's changing. It's natural.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Honey, I've got experience with this. Jeffrey, brain health is all about making the most of your brain as you age and helping to reduce some of the risks to your brain.
Really? Now that's interesting.
So, you'll talk to her about this, but not me. Marcia Gay Harden? Where did she go?
Learn what you can do to help keep your brain healthy at brainhealth.gov. She didn't say goodbye? I mean, I would have. Visit brainhealth.gov.
Every day, 70,000 puppies or kittens are born in the U.S. Cute, right? What's not cute is that half of all litters are accidents, which leads to millions killed in shelters each year. Turns out, those little cuties can get pregnant sooner than you think. But here's the good news. You can stop the accident before it happens. When you bring home a pet, get them fixed at 4 months old. Prevent more. Fix at month 4. Visit fixat4.com for more information. Brought to you by Best Friends Animal Society.
There's a threat targeting America. One that's growing fast, but may still be hard to see. Lyme disease. Spread by tiny ticks, often smaller than the head of a pin. This dangerous disease is now more widespread than West Nile, tuberculosis, and HIV/AIDS combined. And if left untreated, it can lead to arthritis, facial paralysis, and even memory and concentration problems, often called brain fog. As the threat of Lyme disease grows to more than 300,000 projected cases each year, it's time for us to target Lyme disease. That means checking for ticks when you've been outside, even in your own backyard. It means seeing a doctor if you experience the symptoms of Lyme disease, which can include joint pain, flu-like symptoms, fever, fatigue, or sometimes a bullseye-shaped rash. Set your sights on stopping Lyme. Learn how you can target Lyme disease at targetlyme.org.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself.
This is a physical training event.
Promises to one's community.
Healthy people move debris out of their house.
Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
We're here early before they wake up. We stay late, we stay informed, we invest in the latest technology.
We take the time to train the next generation of doctors and nurses. We work together to make sure we heal their bodies and their minds.
We do this not because it's our job, but because this is about our veterans' lives. This is our mission. More than 300,000 of us working as one, together with families and loved ones. No matter where they live in this country, we'll be there.
We all come together and stand together to serve our veterans. We stand strong, united. Stand with us in caring for our veterans.
Hi, this is Kelsey Grammer. When military service members head into battle,
None are expected to face the enemy alone, but many return home and become isolated as they struggle with the visible and invisible wounds of war. It can be difficult knowing how to overcome that challenge and rekindle bonds similar to those formed in the military. Wounded Warrior Project supports these injured veterans through their recoveries by connecting them with fellow warriors and their communities. No one should fight this battle alone. Join us at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Call Rod now, 606-603-835-3226. There is some movement on the Southern Poverty Law Center. The Southern Poverty Law Center is a rather, well, they're a hate-filled group. And they obviously have a map. You've probably heard this. They have a map out there, what they call a hate map. And they've dotted the hate map with places or towns or cities that they say are filled with hate. Now, I'm looking at this map, and I'm thinking, well, on the map, they've got Keene, New Hampshire marked out. Now, do you want to know why Keene is on the map? My adopted hometown of Keene, New Hampshire? Because that is where some what are called free staters live. Now, understand that Keene is the town of the University of New Hampshire's Keene State College, a very liberal. Keene is a very liberal bastion. The poor town has had to suffer under liberalism. This is the town, by the way. This is the town that was a few years ago decided to get rid of the Pumpkin Festival. I mean, a festival that brought. Keene is about the size of 23 to 25,000 people. A festival that brought as many as 80,000 people in one day. It happened every year in October, late October. And you had a bunch of college students from Keene State College one year that committed some devastation and mayhem on the little town of Keene. And so Keene decided that they were going to stop the festival because they didn't want to deal with the college anymore, the college students. Now, the college students were leftists, much like Antifa. And this small band of people from the college, who knows why they decided to riot, but they did. And even the wonderful armored Bearcat police vehicle couldn't prevent them from, I don't know why they didn't use it. They got it for a reason. But even the Bearcat couldn't even stop the kids and bring them in and rein them in to stop rioting that night. And so the Keene City Council decided to do away with it. Now I understand that they've decided it's about 4 years ago now. I understand that this year they decided to try to bring back the Pumpkin Festival. Of course, it's going to have to start all over again. But so why is it on the map because of that? No, it's not on the map because you had a bunch of rioters who were the precursors to Antifa. It's on the map because there are a few residents there that are a part of this Free Stater movement. That's why they're on the hate map. I mean, look, if you've ever been to Keene, it is one of the most bucolic New England towns you've ever seen. It is peaceful. People get, I mean, there are minorities there. People get along in Keene like you would not believe. It's kind of like Mayberry. New England version of Mayberry. Honestly. But yet the Southern Poverty Law Center has designated it on its hate map as a center of hate. Well, I mean, they're probably right because it's the leftists that are causing all the hate. Nobody on the right has done any of that. Nobody on the right has rioted in Keene. That was the liberal leftist little chillin' on the college campus that did all that damage. Just the children. Just saying. Let's get back to Agent 0010 and his report this week. We are actually talking about kids. Now, obviously, college kids are a bit older than the children that we've been talking about, but this is important because in just about every society, in order for there to be some sort of major historical type of societal change, it is usually started with the younger people, the college students or the high school college students, those between the ages of 16 and 21. And this was no different than what happened in Keene. You had a bunch of people under the age of 21 that causing all this trouble. So this has been pretty historical over the last century and a half. We've had major changes in our societies that have been brought forth by activist kids, basically, the under 21 set. And Antifa is really no different. You might want to bring the age up to like 25 and under now. Because, a lot of them just don't grow up. They just don't grow up now. So we have this new thing where people, at 25 and 26, they're acting like they're still 16. This is why I have a problem talking to some of them. Because that same, you think you're looking at and talking to an adult. Really. And they sound like they're still in high school, like they're a sophomore or a junior in high school. And it's maddening. They have that type of voice and cadence and language. And they can be a little bit older than that, too. Just anybody really want to listen to Mark Zuckerberg talk? Now, how old is that boy? He's like almost 35, right? And he still sounds like he's in high school, like he's, 15 years old. It's maddening to listen to him. Now, if I wanted to listen to a bunch of high schoolers, I'd be a teacher in high school. But if I'm talking to somebody who obviously should be an adult, they should sound like an adult, but they don't. It is maddening to me. It really is. But so we have this. We're trying to perpetuate youth too long or too far. Is that the case? In other societies that don't particularly like our society are picking up on this. That we have this over fascination with youth, and we think that youth are just totally innocent and they can't be corrupted, and they're always going to be innocent and fresh face. All I can say is that we've had movies that show us the other side of youth. Anybody remember Macaulay Culkin and Elijah Wood in the movie The Good Son? Can kids be evil? Yes. Obviously. Can kids be trained to be evil? Yes, obviously. I don't. Am I wrong in this, Agent? Am I taking this a little too far? Should I just be a little bit more accepting?
Accepting? No, because if you're accepting that means that you approve or have no opinion on these temper tantrums that these children are having. What I think is disgusting is that at one point in time, we had an entire generation in Berkeley fight and demand for freedom of speech, and rightfully so. We may not have agreed today. We may not have agreed with all of their politics of the day, but we all do agree on freedom of speech. And Berkeley being the home of freedom of speech, it's something to be revered for the most part. But then you fast forward, and I'm going to say their grandchildren, because if I say great-grandchildren, I might have a bunch of former hippies storming me and beating the crap out of me with flagpoles just because I called them, I pretty much put an age on them. So I'll say their grandchildren are turning around and now are stifling freedom of speech. And they're saying, oh, it's liberty. No, it's not liberty. Because come to find out that a lot of these Antifa kids are communists or socialists. Okay, Rod, let me ask you a question. Last year we had an election, a presidential election, correct?
Yes.
And who was one of the candidates on the Democratic Party side?
Well, you had Bernie Sanders, but he was beat out by Hillary Clinton, yes.
Stop. Bernie Sanders ran under the Democratic Party, but was a self-admitted socialist. He believed in socialism and in communism. So therefore, these are a bunch of kids having a group temper tantrum, stomping their feet. And unfortunately, when they stomp their feet, it's because somebody's underneath them, upset because their candidate did not win. Well, congratulations, Mom and Dad of America. By giving the kid with that came in last place in a foot race the biggest trophy and giving the winner the smallest trophy, you have just created these little brats that insist on getting their way. They insist on getting what they want. And what they want is, for the most part, and maybe they realize it or not, I don't know, is to bankrupt this country. I want a free education. Well, if everybody that wants a free college education gets that free college education, guess what? There's a city in Washington State. They stopped with the free community college. The state would pay for community college for anybody that went to this school, or anybody in that state, I should say, and the state had to stop because they were going completely and totally broke just from the college aspect. So you turn around and you say, well, we'll put more taxes on the rich. Well, guess what happens to the rich if you overtax them? Since they have the money, this is what they'll do. They will leave. Plain and simple. Just leave to another country. Okay, they leave to another country. Guess what? They take their money with them. Guess what else they might just take with them? The companies that they own that made them rich. So now other people are going to get the jobs in another country. And nobody in this country is going to want to be rich because they know they're going to be overtaxed and they know they're going to end up having to leave anyway. So, okay, now what are you going to do? You're going to tax the middle class after that? Oh, well, guess what? They're no longer middle class because the companies that they work for has gone. So now, guess what? They're broke as you are. So now they're going to have to depend on the government to take care of them just like you. Where are we going to get the money? Oh, we can borrow it. From who? There's no country on this planet that's going to sit there and not only take care of their own country, but completely and 100% take care of another country. So therefore, your premise is completely false. It's completely faulty. Oh, well, the government can be in business with those companies and they can take a certain percentage. Yeah, China's done that. And China is starting to really falter as well economically because of that idea.
Well, I brought the story yesterday about Denmark. The Danes are seriously considering cutting their taxes by nearly $4 billion the equivalent of $4 billion US dollars. Now, for a small country like Denmark, that's a huge tax cut because they want to cut it for all economic levels. The wealthy as well as the middle class and the poor, because they realize, hey, maybe if we get people to be able to keep their own money, they'll be able to invest it, and we won't penalize them for saving. Do you realize that in Denmark you get taxed for saving for your retirement?
Oh, yeah. In countries such as Denmark, such as Holland, such as Norway, these countries, they tax the hell out of you because they have this thing where, oh, you don't have a job? Oh, I'll tell you what, we're going to subsidize you until you find a job. And a lot of people just sit there and go, until I find a job. Okay, yeah, until I find a job. Not a problem. And they just don't bother looking for a job. And don't forget, they also have universal health care. They have it there. And I think the average person gets taxed anywhere between 40 to 45% of their income. I mean, that's ridiculous.
That's just the start. And you have to realize that the reason why the main reason the new, more conservative, fiscally conservative government was put in place and voted for, and the reason why they're moving ahead and what they're calling this tax cut, and the reason for it is to make it easier for people to get work. Wait. What? You're going to cut taxes so people are more inclined to work. Well, we're missing it here. It looks like Europe. I mean, Finland went through. Finland, I think, is the highest, per capita, the highest tax country on the planet. That's still not a communist or dictatorial regime. I mean, some 70%. Their marginal tax rate is some 75%, and they got free everything too. Well, it's not free, but government run healthcare, government this, government subsidies this, free education, all that kind of stuff. And they just went through a round of tax cuts because the government can't afford to pay for everything. And they can't tax the people anymore. They almost get 100%. And this country is the same way in some states when you start adding when you start adding all the little fees, you start adding all the little licenses that you got to have. I mean, from the driver's license to your car registration to the taxes on your cell phone, to the taxes on your cable bill, to the taxes on your electric bill and your gas bill and your gasoline tax. And, depending on the state you live in, you're already forking over 60% of your income as well. So there's not much more that they can tax.
Communism and socialism on paper. Even on TV, between communism and socialism, they look great on TV and on paper, because let's not forget, Star Trek. Huge proponent of socialism because Gene Roddenberry was a socialist. So you turn around and it looks great on paper, but the application, it always has a victim. No matter what you point at, look, it's a success there. No, it's not. I've had people tell me, well, look at Cuba, 100% literacy. Yeah, 100% literacy. That's fantastic. Too bad that nobody there can get a job. Oh, well, everybody has health coverage. Yeah, everybody there has health coverage. Basically, the hospital's a shack. Poor medicine. They don't have enough medicine for people. They've got plenty of trained people, but mind you, these trained people, a lot of them are sitting around collecting dust because there are no medical positions available, because they're all filled already, because everybody got college and everybody is literate. Oh, and by the way, highest poverty rate per capita in Cuba. So therefore, there is no success. Give me another example. Other people have tried Argentina. Argentina, really? Do you really want to go there? Because Argentina has its own problems. The only reason why it's not known worldwide is for one simple fact, and that's because the Argentinians got used to it. So no matter what example of a country that you point to me, I will always tell you it's not perfect. Oh, well, I've heard this argument also. Nothing is perfect. Really? Glad you admitted to that, because according to you, it is perfect. So that's step one, admitting you're wrong about the perfection factor. And the more you break it down for them, the angrier they get. And that is what creates something like Antifa. Their anger, their rage. Bernie promised them something, and they all dance in the streets saying, yay, we're going to get free stuff. Well, you're blaming the wrong person. You're blaming Donald Trump and his supporters when you call them racist. And mind you, I think it's funny when people consider you a racist. That is hilarious, in my honest opinion. And I mean you, Mr. Rod Eccles.
Yeah. Well, I'm a self-loathing wannabe, something else, I guess. I have no idea. But hey, look, all I have to do is just, I can change who I am. All I got to do is go to 23andMe or Ancestry.com, take their DNA test, and I'm sure they'll tell me I'm something different.
Oh, yeah. Well, Bernie promised them a whole bunch of wonderful things, and it didn't come through. The DNC stabbed Bernie in the back. Then Bernie stabbed them in the back. Because all of a sudden, he's putting out all these tweets and all these wonderful messages about how the rich people have multiple homes, since he's got 3, and how the rich people are making millions a year, like he is, and his wife as well, how his daughter made $500,000 in 1 year teaching wood carving. Yeah, something you teach in high school.
And the wonderful college that Bernie's wife was in charge of and head of went belly up.
Exactly. These are just a bunch of confused, angry kids. So, of course, they're going to beat up on somebody because they wanted socialism. They're upset they didn't get socialism. They're confused as to what the real tactic of socialism involves. There's an old saying, every fighter has a good plan until he gets punched in the nose. Well, guess what? You guys had a great plan, and you got punched in the nose when Bernie lost. So instead of standing there and fighting like an adult or like a grown man, no, you're having temper tantrums. You're beating people up with flagpoles because they're basically believing in a right that you also have, which is freedom of speech. But you're exercising your freedom of speech by stifling everybody else's. You're a dumbass. Well, your grandparents that marched in Berkeley need to beat you for that.
That's the way it's supposed to work. Well, you got to run, CS. Thank you so much for your report this week. It has been enlightening and fun.
Not a problem. You all have a great one, and I'll talk to you next week.
You too. Be safe out there, my friend.
I will. Bye.
You know what this is also like? Can you imagine if McGregor decided to have a temper tantrum because he gave everything that he had for 3 or 4 rounds and he couldn't beat he couldn't beat Mayweather, so Mayweather beat him in the 10th or 12th round or something like that. And can you imagine if he threw a fit? It's not fair. I should have won because I gave everything those first 3 rounds, man.
I'm not Rod Eccles, and I approve this message. A couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said, "I'll bet you're a Nazi." Well, I love America, support the Constitution, and believe in capitalism. So I told him I'm not a Nazi, and I'm not. So what happens? The punk breaks out 2 windows and pepper sprays an elderly woman in the face. You know, there's one thing about long-haired young people nowadays. They're real assholes. Long-haired young people, you suck.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
Warning. Listening to the Rod Eccles Show by the Idiot Left may cause outrage, fear, a need for safety pins and or spaces. If you experience any of these symptoms or are allergic to truth, tune in and learn something.
The reality on the ground, if you want to use those terms, or that term, is that we have a bunch of people in this country. Now, this is simply due to the failure of our educational system. These people do not understand what it is to be fair. They talk about fairness all the time. They don't know what it is to be fair. They think fairness is getting their way. No, I'm being completely serious here for a second. They think fairness is getting their way. And this is where the baby boomers and some parents in Generation X went wrong with their kids, because they did give them the I know we make fun of the participation trophy thing, but it's a real thing. Now understand this, folks. China gave up the one child per family mantra for two reasons. One, because it wasn't really working. China's population was still growing. And two, they had all of these single child children, only child children, that were starting to create havoc as adults on the society. They were spoiled, rotten little brats that turned out to be spoiled, rotten, big adults. That's a problem. And we're experiencing the same thing.
Today, there's a beer for everyone.
Hey, me and the guys are going out for beer. You want to come along? Nah, I got a lot of data to enter into the computer tonight.
Now, there's a brew for the future.
Want me to bring you something back? Thanks, but I got some right here.
Microsoft Brew.
You got a beer tap on your computer?
With a head so thick you can float a mouse on it.
Let me get this straight. You make your own beer with the computer? With the right software, you can do anything.
Microsoft Brew.
Here, I call this one Windows 95. I don't know. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
And if you got to get there quicker, try the new ISDN malt liquor.
When I found out I had atrial fibrillation, a serious but highly treatable heart condition, the first thing I thought of was who would take care of my wife and children if anything were to happen to me. My doctor recommended Prevactin. I had a lot of questions, so I did some research. It turns out Prevactin is the #1 recommended drug for Crohn's disease. I think my doctor's trying to kill me and steal my wife.
Doctors. They'll stop at nothing to get your wife.
And now, a message from the American Migraine Foundation.
It's an absolute nightmare. I was terrified. It was like your head's gonna explode.
Migraine is a disabling disease.
Just all of a sudden couldn't see.
Migraine has ruined my life.
Absolutely terrifying.
There's pain that does not stop.
It's a throbbing, pulsing, banging, hammering feeling in your head.
36 million Americans suffer.
I started getting migraines around 5 years old.
Just takes over everything.
I feel trapped by migraine.
It hurts like my head's gonna fall off.
And the whole world around you stops.
My world has gotten small.
You feel like the world's closing in on you. There's nothing you can do.
I had spent a year housebound.
It's like you're trapped in your head. There's no escaping it. You can't leave your body.
Don't suffer alone. Make your move against migraine. Visit AmericanMigraineFoundation.org to find help, learn more, and get connected.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The human voice. It can be sweet as music, powerful as thunder,
and so, my fellow Americans,
cheerful as laughter. But for millions of people, it can also be a sign of COPD. This serious lung disease can make it so hard to breathe, you often can't catch a breath or finish a sentence, let alone carry a tune. And many who have COPD don't even know it. That's where your voice comes in. If you think you or a loved one have symptoms, talk with a healthcare provider. Early diagnosis can mean better treatments and quality of life. Join us in raising our voices for the millions with COPD who can't. Learn more, breathe better at NIH.gov.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
You want to know what time it is? It's time to bring the rain.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Welcome back. Hour number 3, the fastest 3 hours on Internet Talk Radio is right here on the Rod Eccles Show. Thanks for tuning in and listening. Here it is on August number 30 in the year of our Lord 2017. Call-in number this morning is 603-835-3226. Excuse me if I sound like I'm a little bit out of breath. I was just... I had to duck out of the studio during the break for a little bit. I have a neighbor who sold their house, sold the property next door, and they're now saying goodbye. And she's a lovely lady, so I just wanted to make sure I said goodbye to her before she booked out. So she's going away. She's going to Utah, by the way, which is really kind of interesting. She's going to be near her. She taught school for 43 years. Can you imagine being in the classroom with these kids for 43 years? And she hung around because she thought she could make a difference. She's of the old school of teaching, by the way. She didn't have any of this newfangled teaching stuff. She thought, well, no, she was going to stick it out. I don't know why she did it for 43 years. tell you the truth. But she thought she'd stick it out a little bit longer. She was trying to go to 45, but she just said, I couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't do it. So here's a woman who started teaching the old-fashioned way, basically, before all this newfangled stuff came in. And she found herself having to, especially over the last few years with this No Child Left Behind stuff, she said she was no longer teaching. And she tried to make it to her, because I guess her mother had taught for 45 years as well. So she was trying to make it to 45 to make it, and she just said, I can't do it. Can't do it, so she hung it up. 43, and deciding to hang it up because you were trying to match your mother's accomplishments, and it got so bad that you stepped out 2 years before your goal. That's pretty bad. That tells you a lot about our educational system. When we're chasing out good people, dedicated people. Well, this is what's happening all too often. In any case, let's go to the phones really quick. She's been waiting patiently. 731, you're live on the Rod Eccles Show. Good morning. What's going on?
Hey, your neighbor was a saint.
I know, right?
Well, listen, I was listening to Agent. I'm always fascinated by him. But, I wrote down almost every word he said because in the takeaway, he's basically attempting to warn us of what's possibly coming our way, the potential greatest threat we face. And it was interesting how he tied in Antifa, the stifling of freedom of speech, having children all over the world being trained as basic terrorists via, if it's language, and being psychologically trained to kill. And then he speaks of socialism and communism, which I don't think there's a dime's worth of difference. And then he brings up the Boston bombers. And I don't know if people connect the dots, but the truth is the threat might be living amongst us. And potentially, you think about Antifa. He talked about that, and you often speak about it, about how it promotes communism. They're inciting violence through intimidation. And you have to ask yourself, could this possibly become the shadow government's army? And you ask yourself, why? Why would they do that? And maybe because we have wars all over the globe and are real committed. My son's visiting, and his dog is in the room, and he don't like it. But anyway, you have to ask yourself, why, maybe this is their army. And that's a scary thought. Why, we've had all this talk about this pardon of Sheriff Opie, but yet Obama pardoned thousands of prisoners. And so you look yesterday and you say, okay, our president goes to Texas and they're drowning. They are literally living in a lake. And they have rioters there in Corpus Christi. And you have to think, how did those people get there? How the heck did they make posters all the same size to protest our president? Those are just some thoughts for the day that I think people should listen to. What do you think?
Well, I think what we have going on here as far as this underground or these dark agents, if you want to call them that, I think we're kind of being led down a path of self-destruction of not being aware of this because, look, we have a bunch of movies and movies and TV shows, and I brought this up yesterday all week long, talking about things like, the superhero movies, where Batman is probably one of the biggest criminals on the planet when it comes to public safety. Yeah, he's a superhero.
And did you see the Batman car? Did you see the Batman car yesterday?
No.
In the protest? And yeah.
No, I missed that one.
Not. Go ahead. I didn't interrupt.
But so we're being told that there are certain people who can get away with breaking the law because they're breaking the law for a good reason, so to speak. But we don't have and we're I'm reminded, well, it's not reality, Rod. It's fantasy. It's TV. Superheroes of all things. And I have to remind people that with technology today, Batman is a reality by tomorrow. And it's going to be you're not going to need millions and millions of dollars to become a Bruce Wayne and Batman. You could be, a regular everyday Joe and afford this stuff. You go to your local, whatever the local Radio Shack is going to be tomorrow, because Radio Shack is out of business now, but whatever Radio Shack is going to be, you can be Batman. You can get all the stuff you need to be Batman and be Batman, a real Batman. Now, with that said, we also have programs on TV that show us that there are clandestine agents, sleeper agents, and we're saying that they're Russian. What was that? What was the show recent? Was it America? No, not America. What was it? They were Russian agents, sleeper agents. They were a family, but they were a sleeper cell. And they were being woken up to do whatever they were trained to do. Now, I never watched the program because I just didn't buy into the premise, but the premise still stands for what Agent 0010 was talking about, making these kids, because they don't look like what we traditionally think is.
And they speak English as well as you and I.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
So we have these kids that are coming. They're being trained from a very young age to think a certain way and to do certain things. And I brought up the fact of the Tsarnaev brothers from the Boston Marathon bombing because they were Georgian. They were Georgian Muslims, and from the country of Georgia, not from the state of Georgia down south, from the country of Georgia, an Eastern European nation that's south of Russia, borders in the south of Russia. And there are a lot of Muslims there because it's also there's Georgia's southern border. It borders Afghanistan and Pakistan, if I'm not mistaken. It's in that same region. So there's a lot of Muslims over there. And they came here as refugees with their mother as children. Children.
Yep.
And then they grew up and became young adults in their 20s. And what did they do? So this is a problem that we're starting to see rise in. And I think the Agent 0010 put the eyeballs on this, that this is happening now. And it's going to continue to happen unless we do something about it. But what are we going to do? Because we're going to have to start facing off against kids. And here in America, we'd like to think that being a child, being under the age of 18, is the end-all, be-all. It's everything. Children can't be evil. Children can't be mean. Children can't be taught to be mean. Children can't do this. Children is the epitome of innocence. Well, that's not true. They can be evil, devilish little creatures.
That's where Islamic terrorism and Sharia law, that was my last point. That is how this connects. And he put it very well. He didn't come out and just say it, but he connected the dots. That's what an intelligent person does. He was connecting the dots for us because you know what? Agents, and I don't know anything about him, but if intelligent people are trained to secrecy. They sign that they will never reveal. So I think that, thank God, that we have some people that try to give us the information if we're willing to connect the dots. And I do believe that he makes a point to try to give us a warning. And you know what? We're sleeping. Most of us are asleep, and that's a scary thing. And people, they better listen, but I have a feeling it's all teddy bears and snowflakes And I promise you, some of these people that are in their, you talking about earlier, being in their mother's basement, they couldn't fight their way out of a paper sack.
Well, if we have to depend on the millennials to, as a whole, I mean, obviously that there are millennials that are responsible and they're tough and they enter the military, but as a whole, if we look at the snowflake millennials, if we have to depend on them to defend this country, we're in trouble. Because
they would invite them over for lunch. They would invite them in for lunch. It'd be like the snake that Trump used to speak about. You stupid. If you were stupid enough to bring me in, I'm going to bite your butt. But I think today was probably one of the most important broadcasts because it really does. We're at a tipping point now, people, and I know I say that every week, but this is probably the most current and present danger in our country because, we always think, of terrorism. We think, oh, well, I'm not going to sign my son's not going to war. Well, you know what? It's not going to be going to war. War is going to be right here on us. And we've never experienced that before. And that's where all this UN peacekeeper stuff, it plays a part. But anyway, I'm keeping you longer, but I just wanted to say my little country thoughts.
Yeah, well, hey, there's all that country wisdom. There is some wisdom in the country. Always has been. Look, hey, even the big cities, if it wasn't for the country, we wouldn't have big cities because, big cities are filled with people who came from the country and they brought that wisdom with them. And too bad that because a few generations later, a few decades later, it seems like we're losing that wisdom. It's time to bring it back.
Well, Rod, something that really scares me is this thing in Texas. I know everybody's just watching them wade around the water, but I'm telling you, it's going to come back to where they hit a place that is, that a lot of Second Amendment people are very diehards. And it's going to be interesting to see how these people fare when they have to go to their church or the dome and they can't take their guns. It's going to leave them very vulnerable. Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of people in Texas who are the equivalent of preppers, and they're probably prepared for something like this. But it'll be interesting to see how they carry forward and how they take care of this Houston situation. Yeah. All right. Well,
gotta run.
You have a good day.
You too. Thanks for your call.
Okay, and thanks for all you do.
Thank
bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye. I'm interested to see what happens down at, well, I guess you can take a look at Galveston and Corpus Christi. They already did things right. And you, of course, you have the Cajun Navy and the Texas Navy helping out down there in Houston. Yeah, things are going to be a lot different than they were in Ray Nagin's New Orleans 12 years ago. Just saying.
Yes, love hurts. It can hurt emotionally, but more important, it can also hurt you physically. It can hurt you in a way which nobody who owns a hot tub and lives in California can afford to be unaware of. Yes, I'm talking about California hot tub rectal gonorrhea. This painful, incurable disease can make an enjoyable soak in a hot tub with family, friends, and dog into a literally unforgettable experience. If you catch California hot tub rectal gonorrhea, not only will you walk around feeling like you're about to pass a twisted sardine can lid, you'll also smell like a pile of burning tractor tires. So don't jump out of the frying pan and into the hot tub, because if you get California hot tub rectal gonorrhea, it'll really burn your ass.
This has been a public service message brought to you by the Citizens Against CHTRG Foundation. California hot tub rectal gonorrhea. We're not going to take it sitting down.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
Sarah Palin's lawsuit, 603-835-3226 is the call-in number should you wish to join me here on the program. We still have about another half hour to go in the fastest 3 hours on Internet Talk Radio. But Sarah Palin's lawsuit has just been dismissed by a federal judge in Manhattan. And the reason is because, and I quote, nowhere is political journalism so free, so robust, or perhaps so rowdy as in the United States. In the exercise of that freedom, the judge writes, mistakes will be made, some of which will be hurtful to others. Now, this is part of Judge Jed, G-E-D, Rakoff's written opinion in his dismissal of the case. So what the judge is basically saying is that because we have freedom of press, that the press can get things wrong, do some damage, personal and political and public damage to a person, and then go back, later and admit, well, we made a mistake, and then try to correct their mistake by saying we made a mistake, and that mistake can be done well, let's face it, you can put the story on the front page. The wrong story, the erroneous story. And then go back the next day or the day after on page 10 and say, oh, we made a mistake. Now, who's going to see it? In other words, journalistic malfeasance is being protected by a judge. That is not part of freedom of speech and freedom of press. You're supposed to tell the truth. You don't have a right to tell lies about other people. I mean, that's defamation. Journalists can be sued for defamation. This is not the first case of such a thing. But Judge Rakoff's opinion is an important reminder of the country's deep commitment to a free press and the important role that journalism plays in our democracy. Now, of course, if you were to say the same thing, if this were a story from, like, say, the New York Post, and it were defaming, let's just say, Barack Obama or Joe Biden, you better believe that this judge wouldn't be dismissing this case so easily. Now, it doesn't say whether or not Sarah Palin is going to appeal this decision, although I have a feeling that she probably will. Now, Palin sued the newspaper earlier this summer over an editorial that drew a link between an advertisement from Palin's Political Action Committee and a 2011 shooting in Tucson, Arizona, in which 6 people were killed, and the then Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords was severely injured. And this is something that they made after. It wasn't a mistake. This was done on purpose. This was an editorial that was done after all the facts that came forward about what happened during that shooting in Tucson. And so now, because you're putting it in the guise of journalism as editorial comment, now it's supposed to be okay and legal to basically defame and lie about people in an editorial, and a liberal judge will protect you. That's not freedom of speech, folks.
You might be surprised to learn who has Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis. Nearly 1 in 200 Americans are suffering with the debilitating pain and constant disruption of these inflammatory bowel diseases, or IBD. Chances are you know someone with IBD. For example, your neighbor or coworker. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation was created to help patients cope and to find a cure. People with IBD can't wait. Won't you help someone you know? Visit www.escapethestall.com today.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. But most people don't know they are infected. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you can still have hepatitis C, a serious liver disease that often has no symptoms. In fact, people can live with hepatitis C for decades without feeling or looking sick. But over time, hepatitis C can cause serious health problems, including liver damage, liver failure, or even liver cancer. Getting tested is the only way to know if you're infected with hepatitis C. That's why the CDC recommends everyone born from 1945 to 1965 get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments are available that can cure this disease. So talk to your doctor about getting tested. It could save your life. A message from the CDC.
Everyone is talking about healthcare these days. America spends twice that of other developed countries on our healthcare system, yet our health ranks near the bottom. How can we stop spending so much and getting so little? Shifting to a system based on primary care can help fix the problem. Patients with a primary care doctor live longer, healthier lives and are less likely to suffer from cancer, heart disease, or stroke. Primary care that is comprehensive and coordinated also saves money. Patients who have a primary care doctor spend 30% less on health care than patients who don't. States with a high number of primary care doctors have lower health care costs and higher quality care. Primary care can help make America healthy again. To learn more about the benefits of primary care, visit www.healthisprimary.org. This message is brought to you by America's Family Physicians.
It's been called shell shock, war neurosis, and battle fatigue. Today, we call it post-traumatic stress disorder, and it affects 1 out of every 5 warriors returning from battle in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Wounded Warrior Project offers comfort and support for warriors with PTSD and all other scars of war, whether those scars are visible or hidden. Find out how to help, because for warriors, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. Please visit woundedwarriorproject.org.
The Amazon's rainforest is being cut down so fast that by 2030, 55% of it could be completely wiped out. The Earth's forests can't speak up when they need help, but we can. Be the voice for those who have no voice. Visit worldwildlife.org.
There's a threat targeting America. One that's growing fast, but may still be hard to see. Lyme disease. Spread by tiny ticks, often smaller than the head of a pin. This dangerous disease is now more widespread than West Nile, tuberculosis, and HIV/AIDS combined. And if left untreated, it can lead to arthritis, facial paralysis, and even memory and concentration problems, often called brain fog. As the threat of Lyme disease grows to more than 300,000 projected cases each year, it's time for us to target Lyme disease. That means checking for ticks when you've been outside, even in your own backyard. It means seeing a doctor if you experience the symptoms of Lyme disease, which can include joint pain, flu-like symptoms, fever, fatigue, or sometimes a bullseye-shaped rash. Set your sights on stopping Lyme. Learn how you can target Lyme disease at targetlyme.org.
Dad, we need to talk.
Can we just enjoy the drive?
If you're not going to listen to me, who will we listen to?
Jeffrey.
Marcia Gay Harden, what?
Eyes on the road, Dad.
What are you doing? What are you doing in my back seat? How did you get in here?
You're getting older.
Not that old.
Your brain's changing. It's natural.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Honey, I've got experience with this. Jeffrey, brain health is all about making the most of your brain as you age and helping to reduce some of the risks to your brain.
Really? Now that's interesting.
So, you'll talk to her about this, but not me. Marcia Gay Harden? Where did she go?
Learn what you can do to help keep your brain healthy at brainhealth.gov. She didn't say goodbye? I mean, I would have. Visit brainhealth.gov.
603-835-3226. Welcome back. There are some awful people in this world. There are. And with that said, there are also far more good people in the world than there are awful people. Comparatively speaking, awful people are a minority compared to the good people. But here's a little bit of a warning. Houston is warning residents of imposter ICE agents. Yet last night, the city of Houston warned residents about imposter Homeland Security agents who are telling people to evacuate their homes in what the city said it believes is an effort to rob the houses. And we've heard some of the Cajun and Texas Navy members talking about being shot at by looters. And now if you're, I just hate to say this, but if you're a looter out there and you're going to take a shot at a Texas Navy person, and it's the people with the flat bottom boats that are out there helping rescue people. You're going to take shots at people who are rescuing people. They're not coming after you, but you might think twice about that, because some of them are going to start arming up, and they're going to shoot back. But real Homeland Security Investigations, HSI, agents wear badges labeled Special Agent, and they carry credentials. The Homeland Security and Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, reminded people in the Houston area of this, and residents should ask to see the badges and the credentials of anyone who says that they are agents. Additionally, ICE agents are not enforcing immigration raids during the emergency, however, and so... don't want to take advantage of. If Trump were, I guess, were a Democrat of the Rahm Emanuel style, he wouldn't let a good, tragedy or emergency go to waste. He would definitely be sending out ICE agents to pick up some illegal immigrants. But this is not the time for that. I agree. This is the time to make sure that people are safe. And then it will be a time to assess the overall damage and what needs to be done to help people get back on their feet. And now, I don't have an issue with government spending money on things like this. Now, you could say that, some people, that they don't have the proper insurance, it's all on them. Well, the reality is that there really isn't any insurance available or affordable to people that would take care of an issue like this. If you look, I've been in the insurance business, and some of the riders and clauses and exclusions and all that kind of, you think that a lot of people think that they're covered for something, even after they read the damn thing, they think they're covered for something, And then when something specific happens, they find out, well, no. That incident is a part of this clause that excludes your coverage. It's not included in your coverage. This is when people find out. I mean, it's bad. And this is stuff that's even when it comes to flood insurance, so that's issued by the government, not private enterprise, private insurers. So they're even worse. So there's a lot of stuff that isn't covered that people naturally assume that they're covered for, and they don't even question it until they're told, well, that's not covered under your policy. Or they're told, well, you should have got this policy instead because it covers that, and this policy doesn't. And they'll look at you and say, well, that policy is going to cost me like $2,000 a month. And trust me, there is insurance policies that are really expensive. Now, insurance isn't meant to be, it isn't meant to transfer wealth from one entity to another, as liberals would have you think that that's what it's for. No, it's to indemnify you of a financial loss. Somebody else is taking that risk. But it's a specific risk. That risk isn't broad-based. In other words, you have life insurance, but most life insurance clauses will say that if you die due to a self-inflicted injuries, i.e. suicide, they're not going to pay out. Okay, so insurance companies are limiting their liability. You also have a responsibility. Some insurance clauses say, well, if you're going to participate in dangerous, life-threatening things like skydiving or base jumping, and you die doing while you're doing one of those activities, they're going to say, well, we're not going to cover you. Because if you want to be covered for doing stuff like that, for dangerous stuff like that, your policy is going to be more expensive. Why? Because the risk to the insurance company is, this is a business. This is all of, the insurance company is taking a risk by saying that this particular incident that you're trying to protect yourself from is not going to happen. And you, as the person who's buying the insurance, is betting and saying, well, this is going to happen within the framework and time limit of the insurance policy. So in other words, you take out a life insurance policy, and let's say it's just for a year, you are betting that you're going to die within that year, within the term of the policy. The life insurance company is betting that you're not going to die, but you're going to live for the entire year. It's a gamble on both sides. And I know some people are saying, well, that's a terrible gamble. Well, that's exactly what it is. And this is the same thing with car insurance. You're betting that you're going to get into a car accident during the 6 or 12-month term of the policy. The car insurance company is betting that you're not going to get into an accident. That is your fault, where they have to pay out over the 6 or 12-month term of the policy. Now, for the most part, insurance companies win. And they win because we don't want to have to collect. We don't want to get into car accidents for the most part. We don't want to have our houses burned down for the most part. We don't want to die for the most part. So we happily pay out the money and say, oh, we lost that bet. And we're like, yay, we lost the bet. Because the negative part, the financial loss, didn't occur. That's a good thing. Your house didn't burn down this year. That's good. You have flood insurance. Your house didn't get flooded. That's good. It's bad when you have to collect, when the insurance company has to pay out. Now, they have to pay out on their terms, and you agree to their terms by buying their policy. Plain and simple. It's no different. No different from anything else, any other rules that you participate in when you do something. You can't change the rules because you don't like them after something happens. And also remember, you can't go out and buy health insurance, or you can't go out and buy, well, you can buy health insurance now, pre-existing conditions, but you can't buy, homeowners insurance and insure your house against fire when your house is on fire. The insurance agency is going to laugh at you. The agent's going to laugh. No, you're too late. And they may be nice enough to ask, well, when did the fire start? Oh, about 30 minutes ago. Oh, well, you're too late by about 31 minutes. Because this isn't a wealth transfer thing. It's a gamble. It's a financial indemnification. In other words, you're trying to protect yourself against a financial loss. Now, in the case of this type of hurricane and flooding, there is no insurance available for most people that covers this sort of thing. And so as a society, we've decided that we're going to help out people in this type of situation. They don't live in a floodplain. You know, they weren't told that, well, if you build there, you're not going to be covered. I mean, you're in a major city, Houston, in suburbs. This is not something that's normal. So it's not something that there's any insurance that's offered for such a thing. Oh, yeah, you got hurricane insurance. Really? Who's going to offer such a thing? And then how expensive is it going to be? Are you going to be able to afford it? So we've decided that as a society, that when this type of disaster happens and people are not covered, we're going to help out. I have no problem with that. But most conservatives have no problem with that. If it is done right, if it is done efficiently and economically, we have no problem with that. We have a problem with taking care of people just for the sake of taking care of them when they should have taken care of themselves. That's what conservatives have a problem with, of people gaming the system. Now, what we have to do now is come together as a community and as a nation to help Houston and the surrounding communities, Galveston, Corpus Christi, that's been affected by Harvey, and help them. It's going to be a long process to rebuild. There's going to be a lot of when the water recedes, that's when the work begins. You know, right now we're in rescue mode. We're rescuing and trying to save the lives of as many people as possible. And we'd have fewer people to rescue if the local government had heeded the warning of the feds and the state and told people that could get out to get out instead of having them stay. So now you have people out there who are helping to rescue and save people's lives. And you have some scum that are taking advantage of that by either looting or robbing people and pretending to be government agents that they're not. You're always going to have scumbags like that. But they are the vast minority of people. They really are. Thankfully so. The vast majority of people are good, honest, hardworking people that would never even dream of taking advantage of people. Even many criminals would not even dream of taking advantage of people in this situation. They wouldn't. They don't. So it's even the minority of criminals that do this. But as time goes on, there are going to be other criminals that try to take advantage. There's going to be identity theft. There's going to be scams. Internet and telephone scams that people are going to get snookered into. So you got to be careful with this kind of stuff. Ask questions. Make sure that who you're talking to really is or really does represent who they say that they are and represent who they say they represent. You got to make damn sure. Double check. Triple check. Because there are those few people out there that will try to scam you. And they'll even try to scam you out of the help that you're legitimately owed and that is legitimately coming your way. I mean, there were people after the Katrina aftermath that were screwed out of government assistance. Because they thought they were talking to somebody that was related to the government or in the government, and before you know it, they've stolen all their government assistance, and the government says, well, we don't have any more money for you. You've already taken it. But they stole it. Not our problem. Rightfully so. You've got to make sure that you're dealing with the right people. That's your responsibility. So that stuff is going to happen once the water starts to recede. You're going to have some mean, evil people that try to take advantage of people. But the vast majority of people aren't going to experience, that need help and assistance, are not going to experience the scam artist out there. That's a good thing. And thus, I have no problem with helping people who truly do need the help in this situation. Honest, and because they're going to need it. There are going to be a lot of homes and businesses that are going to have to be razed. In other words, destroyed. Because the mold issue is going to create a health hazard. It's going to be awful. Look, I've been in homes where black and other kinds of molds is taken over and has been rampant, but it's usually not in the whole house. I've been in a single house where mold just took over an entire house, and we looked at it, and basically there's no way. There's no way to save this. I mean, you're going to have to gut everything. It would be cheaper and more efficient and safer if we just tore down the house. And those are the decisions that are going to have to be made over the next few weeks to a lot of properties down there. It's going to end up like you're going to see neighborhoods, total neighborhoods, destroyed, wiped out. They're going to have to be rebuilt. And this is what happens with nature. This is our battle with nature. This is the risk that we take living in certain areas. And you can't say that certain areas have to be off limits because of this, because it would be half the country would no longer be inhabitable then. Literally. From the risk of hurricanes to tornadoes to massive snowstorms, half the country would be off limits. More than half the country would be off limits. Definitely 90% of the coast, both coasts, would be off limits. Earthquakes, you can't live in California because of potential earthquakes. I mean, the coastlines would be devoid of people. Can't do that. So understand, well, yeah, I know some people are saying, well, they know what they're getting into when they move in those areas. Do they really? Do you really expect that to happen? To be as bad as it is? Again, you're now saying that, at least 50% of the country is off limits. Now there are certain things that you can do to reduce in other words, don't build your house in a known flood plain or flood zone. Because if you get flooded out, that's a different story. But if you're in a place, like Houston, like Florida, where you're not in a floodplain, but every once in a while a hurricane will blow through town, but nobody's ever, expects it to be as bad as it ends up being. Then we as a society really don't have a problem with helping people out get back on their feet. That's the right and the humane thing to do, honestly. And I think President Trump is very clear on that this is the right thing to do. We're going to send the help. And already the response and the help and the assistance coming from the state and federal level far exceeds, and it's happening faster because of good, solid leadership at the local level. Even the stupid mayor of Houston is now getting on board with helping out because he knows he made a mistake. Hopefully the people of Houston, when it comes time to elect another mayor, they don't reelect this guy.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide, plus what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
Here's a story right here that I was discussing in my currently cigar nicotine-stained fingers. Here's a story about Denmark reducing their taxes. It's from Bloomberg, by the way. Denmark decides to make it more attractive to work. Yes, by having $3.7 billion worth of tax cuts, and specifically designed to boost employment. Yet now, of course, you have some leftist critics and economists who question whether such a plan will sustain growth. Well, how about we just get growth started? Then we'll worry about sustaining it. Denmark's government proposed a broad range of tax cuts that will hit all income groups, make it cheaper to save towards retirement, and reduce levies on cars. Yes, this is from the center-right coalition of Prime Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen. From Bloomberg. Yes, they're going to lower taxes in the high-tax country of Denmark to make it more attractive for people to. That's hilarious. It's the same thing here. If you reduce welfare packages here in this country, that starts to make it more lucrative to find a job versus sitting at home on your duff collecting welfare. And finally today, Hillary, the live show, Clinton to tell audiences her personal, raw, detailed, and surprisingly funny story, an unprecedented nationwide tour with tickets selling up to $1,200. That's the only way she's going to make any money off this book, because I don't think she's going to sell hardly a copy of this thing. Really. You may think Hillary Clinton's going to sell out in this book. This fall, coming up, it's almost fall now, Hillary Clinton will be going on a 15-city book tour to promote her new tome, What Happened? She'll visit a number of states that she lost to President Trump, including Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Florida. Now, Clinton promises she'll let her guard down during the tour, telling the audience a personal, raw, detailed, and surprisingly funny story about her time on the trail. Yeah, funny. Does this woman have a funny bone in her body? I don't think she doesn't have a sense of humor. She really doesn't. I haven't really noticed it too often. I mean, other people around her may have had a sense of humor, but she really doesn't. So she's going to go around trying to convince people to buy her book. So you got to get tickets up to $1,200 per ticket. Who's going to do that? What fool would do that? Are you going to sit around and wait for the Netflix movie? That might be a comedy. Any case, folks, that sound means we're out of time for today. Now, am I kicking her while she's down? Probably. Have a great hump day afternoon, everybody. We'll be back here tomorrow. Tune in then, Thursday. Military Tribute. Till then, I'm Rod Eccles. Thanks for tuning in. I'm out.
Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. A shameless politician always plays her cards right. Got a crew for the fight on the airwaves. Lapdogs in the press keep their mouths tight. Cause a Clinton never needs to explain what, why it is what they done or with who. A real Clinton knows that they're entitled, and you don't get to know what they do.
What difference does it make?
For a Clinton, what's loaded in some fat apple file? A Clinton plays the victim for promotion. A Clinton kills it off with a smile. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. A server full of secrets ain't no thing. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. Nothing ever hits with the sting.